Hey, wrestling fans, welcome to another episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. And tonight is a special presentation because it is the best of 2013. And on tonight's special episode, I will be giving away the 360 Wrestling Fanatic Awards for the year of 2013. It's Friday night, January 3rd, 2014. And first of all, I just want to say, just like last year, I will not be having an award for Match of the Year, but at the end of the show, I will talk about some of my favorite matches of the year in professional wrestling, and that will be at the end of the show. And let's start off the best of 2013 with the award for Breakout Star of the Year, and that goes to Justin Maine, the Hollywood sensation, the 5-star attraction, and the main event, who at the beginning of the year made his Clash Wrestling debut at Seize the Day 6, winning a 4-way match against Wrecking Ball Randy Casey, Swagstar Dave Manzo, and the future Mike Daniels. And he has had some impressive wins since then. He took on Scotty 2 Hottie in the middle of the ring, and in August he was the first co-winner of the All Out War match, winning the match with Gavin Quinn, winning a shot at the Clash Championship at any time he wants, and he cashed that shot in that night against the new Clash Wrestling Heavyweight Champion at the time, Tommy Dreamer. Busted Tommy Dreamer open. Dreamer was a bloody mess. Justin Maine won the match to become the new Clash Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. And then we had him on right here, 360 Wrestling Fanatic, about a week after. And even though he lost the Clash Heavyweight title to Jay Miller at Divided We Fall, he still had a great year, and that's why he's the 360 Wrestling Fanatic Breakout Star for 2013. And now it is time for Comeback of the Year, and I gotta give this one to Goldust, because even though I'm pretty much tired of the Goldust character, I have to admit, as far as in-ring work goes, this is probably the best I've seen Dustin Rhodes look in a long time. At Battleground, him and his brother Cody Rhodes won the WWE Tag Team titles from The Shield, who had a great year as well. And they're still the WWE Tag Team Champions going into 2014. So, Comeback of the Year, Goldust, Dustin Rhodes. And now, on to Ring Announcer of the Year. And this award goes to Clash Wrestling's Ring Master B, who is great at all the Clash Wrestling shows, coming out and getting the crowd pumped up and getting us ready for all the shows. And last January, actually, Seize the Day 6, we had an interview with him here on 360. And he is, like, I just gotta say, a great ring announcer. And in my opinion, the best in pro wrestling today. So that's why Ring Announcer of the Year for 2013, Ringmaster B from Clash Wrestling. And now let's move on to the TV show of the year. And I gave this one to NXT actually, because in my opinion, this is probably the best wrestling show on TV each week. And there's really good storylines, great matches, always enjoy it. It's a great 60-minute show, NXT, and that's where you see the future stars of WWE before they make it to the main roster on Raw and SmackDown. So, TV show of the year, WWE NXT. Our next award, pay per view of the year, and I was almost tempted to make this one Night of Champions, but that was just mainly because myself and Tony were there live. That's why I thought it was such a great show. But if I was sitting at home watching it, really might not have enjoyed it as much. But so I have to go with for pay-per-view of the year, SummerSlam. Thought that was a really good show, and the main event, Daniel Bryan versus John Cena for the WWE Championship, was a great match. And then, of course, right after that was the cash in from Randy Orton. But it was just a really good show, and so that's why I named it the pay per view of the year. And now, let's go on to female wrestler of the year. And this goes to someone that had a really good year in 2013. She was on 360 Wrestling Fanatic. She made appearances in Clash Wrestling, of course. She toured the UK twice, and she won the XBW Championship. And it is Leah Von Dutch once again, 2 years in a row now, right here on 360, Female Wrestler of the Year. So congratulations to Leah Von Dutch, and hope to have her back on 360 Wrestling Fanatic real soon. The next award, Tag Team of the Year. And this year, or last year I should say, 2013, I think it saw an improvement in tag team wrestling compared to the last couple of years. In WWE, you got teams like the Usos, Goldust, and Cody Rhodes. Like I mentioned, the primetime players improved. And in TNA, of course, you got Bad Influence, James Storm and Gunner. And in Clash Wrestling, you got Gavin Quinn and Dragon Greed started the year off as tag team champions, and then the handicap heroes, Zach Gowen and Gregory Iron, who defeated Quinn and Greed for the titles, and the new tag team champions, the newly formed tag team last month, November 30th actually, Team Swagball, 360's good friends, Wrecking Ball Randy Casey, and Swag Star Dave Manzo, who we interviewed right after they won the belts. But I gave Tag Team of the Year to this team, and it is the Shield, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. I thought they were probably the best tag team. They dominated most of the year until they lost the titles to the Rhodeses. But other than that, they had a great year. They're a great tag team. So, the 360 Wrestling Fanatic Tag Team of the Year is Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Now, it is time for Wrestler of the Year. Of course, Daniel Bryan had a great year. CM Punk had a great year. Well, according to him, he really didn't, but I thought he had some great matches. Magnus recently become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, the first British World Heavyweight Champion, but the Wrestler of the Year for 2013 in the 360 Wrestling Fanatic Awards is the Murderous Monk, Jay Miller, the current Clash Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. And back at the beginning of the year, Seize the Day 6, he challenged then champion Petey Williams for the title and defeated him to win the title, and then held on to the title until August 31st at All Out War, and lost it in a three-way match, but was not pinned to lose the belt when Tommy Dreamer pinned Ed Vaughn in a three-way match. But then, November 30th, at Divided We Fall, he won the title back from Justin Maine in a brutal match, which he actually broke Justin Maine's nose during the match. And he had a great year. I think Jay Miller is one of the best in pro wrestling today, any company. And of course, he also competes for AAW near Chicago. And I'm a huge fan of the Murderous Monk, and I think he's going to have another great 2014. And if you have not seen Jay Miller in action, you need to check him out. And now, on to our next award. It's for Promotion of the Year. And the winner for Promotion of the Year 2013 for the second year in a row here on the 360 Wrestling Fanatic Awards. 2 years in a row, it is Clash Wrestling. In my opinion, the best wrestling promotion in the world. I was at every show they had this year, starting with Seize the Day 6 in January, and then the last show, November 30th, at Divided We Fall. Every show was great. I always enjoy seeing Clash Wrestling live. Never a bad show, never a dull moment when you see Clash Wrestling live. It's the best value in pro wrestling. Going to a Clash show, you're always entertained, and the tickets are always affordable. Great action. You see great superstars like Jay Miller, like Wrecking Ball, Dave Manzo, Elk, Dead Vaughn, Petey Williams, the Canadian Destroyer, Justin Maine, Leah Von Dutch, Xandra Bale, Benjamin Boone. The list goes on. So many talented wrestlers in Clash Wrestling. Also GQ Gavin Quinn, Ace High Cameron Sky. Trust me, if you have never been to a Clash Wrestling show, you're going to want to, or you're just missing out if you've never been to one. Now, our last award was voted on by the listeners of 360 Wrestling Fanatic at the 360 message board, and that is 360wrestlingfanatic.proboards.com. And it is for the guest of the year. And we had a lot of good guests 2013 on 360 Wrestling Fanatic. We had guests like Leah Von Dutch, as I mentioned, Sandra Bale, Justin Maine, the handicapped heroes right after they won the Clash Tag Team titles. The Mad Scientist Tommy Tresnick, Ringmaster B, Benjamin Boone, most recently, Eddie Venom, not too long ago, was on the show. But the guest that was voted on by the 360 Wrestling Fanatic listeners for the 2013 Guest of the Year is none other than Wrecking Ball Randy Casey. And all I gotta say is it is well deserved. He has been on the show more than anybody else. He always comes on, gives us a great interview, and he's been on solo for interviews and twice with his tag team partner, the Team Swag Ball with Swagstar Dave Manzo. And Wrecking Ball's always fun to talk to, always great to have him on the show. And he will be on the show again tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Blog Talk Radio. So you're going to want to tune in for that. It's a special year in review of Clash Wrestling for 2013. Once again, that's 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow afternoon. Wrecking Ball Randy Casey on 360 Wrestling Fanatic, so don't miss that. And now, as I talked about earlier, I'm going to talk about some of my favorite matches of the year, since I actually have a few favorite matches of 2013, so I'm not going to make just one match of the year. But actually, before I do that, I forgot one award, and that is Feud of the Year. And I know the IWC and most of the internet wrestling fans are not going to like this award, but I don't really care. Feud of the Year, I have to give this one to AJ Styles and Dixie Carter. Like I said, most of the IWC won't like that, won't agree with it, but oh well. And now, on to some of my favorite matches. I already talked about Clash Wrestling Seize the Day 6, which was in January. It kicked off with a Match of the Year candidate. A great match, TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs for the Clash Wrestling Tag Team Championships. Then champions GQ, Gavin Quinn, and Dragon Greed taking on the H3RD, the team of the Mad Scientist Tommy Tresnick and his monster, Dead Vaughn. Also on Seize the Day 6, the four-way match where Justin Maine made his Clash debut versus Wrecking Ball, Swagstar Dave Manzo, and the future Mike Daniels, which was a very good match. And of course, the main event, then champion Maple Leaf Muscle defending, the murderous monk Jay Miller winning the championship. And then March Clash to the Future Part 5 was Jay Miller versus Petey Williams once again for the Clash Championship in a 30-minute Iron Man match. In another great match with these two great wrestlers, we saw sudden death, and we seen Jay Miller defeat Petey Williams to retain the Clash Championship. And WrestleMania this year, or last year, CM Punk versus The Undertaker, of course, got put that match on the list. Definitely the best match of WrestleMania, and one of the best matches of 2013. And Extreme Rules, Triple H and Brock Lesnar in the cage, and SummerSlam, CM Punk vs. Brock Lesnar, and like I talked about earlier when I named SummerSlam the pay-per-view of the year, the main event, Daniel Bryan versus John Cena. I thought definitely one of the best matches of 2013. And August 30th, August 31st, Clash Wrestling All Out War was definitely one of the best matches, or one of the best shows, I have ever seen from Clash Wrestling. Great match. Every match on the card was great. And the All Out War match we seen for the first time ever in Clash history. Co-winners GQ Gavin Quinn and Justin Maine, which I talked about earlier. Justin Maine cashed in the contract he won. But before that, we saw a great triple threat hardcore match for the Clash Championship. It was the champion Jay Miller defending against the monster Dead Vaughn and Tommy Dreamer, the innovator of violence, and it was violent. Tommy Dreamer getting busted open. He was a bloody mess in this match. He pins Dead Vaughn to become the Clash Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. Tommy Dreamer celebrating with the belt, and then we see Justin Maine come in and cash in his All Out War contract to become the new Clash Heavyweight Champion, and Gavin Quinn makes his way to the ring to try to cash in his contract, but Justin Maine runs right out of the Taylortown Trade Center with the belt. And also, right after All Out War, I recorded a very good interview with the Professor Matthew Priest. In case you missed it, go back and listen to that and all the other interviews that we had on 360 Wrestling Fanatic last year. They were all great. And to go back a month, or forward a month, TNA Bound for Glory, AJ Styles and Bully Ray for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. AJ Styles won the TNA World title, and of course is now gone from the company and will be headed back to Ring of Honor tomorrow night, actually, in Nashville. And now, November 30th, Clash Wrestling Divided We Fall, another Match of the Year candidate from Clash Wrestling. It is Jay Miller versus Justin Maine, one-on-one for the Clash Wrestling Championship, the main event. Jay Miller busting open Justin Maine, who actually suffered a broken nose. There, for the second show in a row, there was blood all over the Clash Wrestling ring. The ring was just a bloody mess. And also on Divided We Fall was a match for the Clash Tag Team Championships. The handicapped heroes, Zach Gowen and Gregory Iron, defending the titles against the newly formed team, Wrecking Ball, Randy Casey, and the Swag Star, Dave Manzo. And, of course, if you missed it, we interviewed them right after the show, and we came up with the name for them, Team Swag Ball. And we found out that they will be defending the Clash Tag Team Championships January 18th against another new tag team in Clash Wrestling, and it is Elk and the Monster Dead Vaughn and they will have the Professor Matthew Priest in their corner. And also, this year in Clash Wrestling, to go back a couple months, in All Out War, during the All Out War match, we saw the breakup of one of the most popular tag teams in Clash Wrestling history, Too Sweet, when Bryce Benjamin turned on his longtime partner, Joey Marks, and we will see them go at it one-on-one at Seize the Day 7 in a ladder match, I believe. And so it was a great year for Clash Wrestling and 360 Wrestling Fanatic, and a pretty good year for all professional wrestling, in my opinion. And I had a great year hosting 360 Wrestling Fanatic, had a lot of fun. Like I talked about earlier, all the guests I had on the show, all the great Clash shows we went to, me and Tony, and look forward to having an even better year in 2014. And once again, I want to remind everybody, tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 360 Wrestling Fanatic on Blog Talk Radio, with special guest Wrecking Ball Randy Casey, the 360 Wrestling Fanatic Guest of the Year for 2013. And we're going to have a year in review of Clash Wrestling, discuss everything that happened, all the major events, all the title changes, all the great matches that took place in 2013 for Clash Wrestling, so you're not going to want to miss that. And we're going to talk about the next event, Seize the Day 7, January 18th, at the Taylortown Trade Center. And it's going to be a great show. And this is all for tonight's special episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, the best of 2013. Thanks everybody for listening. And before we go, I want to remind everybody you can like 360 Wrestling Fanatic Radio on Facebook, follow the show on Twitter at 360 Fanatic Radio, follow 360 Wrestling Fanatic on Instagram and Pinterest, subscribe to our YouTube channel for some videos of Clash Wrestling. Excuse me. Also, don't forget to subscribe to 360 Wrestling Fanatic on iTunes, and feel free to give us a 5-star rating if you want, and give us a review, good or bad. Any feedback is good. And you can email 360 Wrestling Fanatic at lb360wrestlingfanatic at aol.com. If you have any questions or comments, or you want to say anything, talk about anything going on in the world of professional wrestling, once again, the email is 360 Wrestling or lb360wrestlingfanatic at aol.com. And go to our message board. Feel free to post anything you want about professional wrestling, whether it's TNA, WWE, Ring of Honor, or Indies, at 360wrestlingfanatic.proboards.com. I haven't really been doing too much for the last few months on there, but I will start posting more on there soon, doing more threads. So hopefully you will go there and also post. And once again, I just want to say thank you for listening to 360 Wrestling Fanatic in 2013, and I hope you keep listening in 2014. And also, thank you to all the guests that we have had on the last year, and hopefully have even more interviews this year and just make the show better. And that's all for tonight. I appreciate everybody listening, and I just want to say, remember, watch all wrestling and support the indies. I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.